changed now, and this is how little women value themselves. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is I want you to feel, goodness, that's not me, and actually live different to that. Because when you understand, I've been good, thank you sis, God bless you. When you understand that you are precious, right? I love that word precious because it helps people realize something that most people who don't know God have never understood before. They've never understood that before. And so it's very, very important that, what do they say about women? They always say they're the gatekeepers to sex. That means that you can be the woman who lets anybody do the most intimate things with you. And what does intimate mean? Well, what does most intimate mean? It means the closest form of human connection. It means the deepest act of what's supposed to represent love. And so you're the gatekeepers of that. You actually have the power as a woman. And let me tell you, hey, much love, Charlie, good to see you too. Here's the powerful thing, and you need to understand this. Oh, okay, well, hey, you're here, you guys are all here for the right reason. If you're hearing me, I pray in Jesus' name that there's something powerful that you take from this, that it will sink into your heart and never leave. In Jesus' name, amen. So, and I really mean that. I really care about you guys. I'm not here to offend anybody or upset anybody. I'm here to get you to an understanding of, oh my goodness, this is the truth, and that's not who I want to be. Or, this is true, I'm already doing things right, and I want to help other people know that. Because our nation, the West, is in a real crisis. So, women, right, being gatekeepers to sex, that means that, this is good news, because even if you think you're really unattractive, you have low self-esteem, let me tell you, just believe me. Like, honestly, for the love of everything good, believe me, as long as you are a female, you actually have the right to say, this is my terms, like this is what I expect. I expect a man to live up to the standard that my dad would expect for the kind of man who's going to spend his whole life for me. I expect him to work and have a plan for the future. I expect him to be respectful to other people. I expect him to have self-control, right? And the best way that you can do that, right? See, what happens to most women, right, is they give their bodies away and their emotion. It's different. For whatever reason, even though it's both, it makes your relationship just as bad with God for whatever gender you are. However, it's just for some reason men could sleep with 1,000 women and emotionally and psychologically won't ruin their life as long as they can depart from it. Women sleep with 10 and it's going to mess them up more than it would a man who sleep with 1,000. Just, it's something to do with how God made them. You are, as a woman, biologically wired to seek comfort and to seek leadership and to be more gentle and feminine. Why? Because you're more delicate. Why is a man biologically drawn to leadership and protecting? Any man who loves a woman, he'll do anything to protect you. He'll literally lay his life down to protect you. Any man who doesn't love you, it's very clear he only wants your body, right? Now, very important that I get you to the point where you're offended by that. Very important. You must be offended by that. The idea that you would actually crave somebody who, who doesn't give a damn about you. Now you can say that's hot, but you're going to have, more time feeling miserable in your life, more time suffering than you are thinking, oh, that's so hot. Trust me. And so, as a man, if you are known by people, right, to go out and fail at your biological role as a man, that you fail at that to such a degree that you are happy to go from woman to woman to woman to woman. And honestly, even if you girls don't get it, I think that it's innately true that every man realizes that when he sleeps with a woman that he's not going to marry. I honestly believe that almost every man knows that he's breaking her a little bit more. And I do believe that most men know that that's permanent, that they don't heal from that. the reason that relationships, that biologically men are wired the way they are and women are wired the way they are, right, is to uphold our value, right? To uphold our dignity. So the dignity and value of a man, right, a man shouldn't spend his life on crime, drugs, and that of course is what he does spend his time on when he's not got the responsibility to honour, to lead by sacrifice, to serve, to protect his family. What does a father do? What does a father want to protect the most? It's the dignity of his daughter, right? The thing that would annoy him more than anything else is the idea of a man defiling his daughter. Now, any man who understands 2 plus 2, right? But now you've got males who could never comprehend what it is to be a man, never comprehend. Because their daughter, who they helped take her first steps, you know, she comes home with some stranger that she met and who she'd never even sleep with if she was sober. And she's drunk, and they come into the house and, you know, she's getting defiled under his roof. And he doesn't even care about it. That's how bankrupt morally our society has become. So when you are, as a man, are known to be like that, decent society needs to shun you. Decent society needs to not admire you. If you were able to fire people, if you were able to if you're able to remove people from a tenancy, if you're able to kick out boarders who have different women and prostitutes come and stay. I know people that they board, right, they live in a place and they bring different prostitutes back. If you can give people like that a notice that they don't have a place to live anymore, if you can say to your children, you know, my presence in your life is conditional, my love for you is not conditional, but my presence is conditional because you need to know how serious your behavior is. Very important when you do that. See, Christianity these days is being warped into something where they honestly think that if you cut your presence or your financial support off from your children, that you're not showing unconditional love. And that's one of the biggest lies. The truth is that your children should not live with you if they're having sex outside of marriage. If your children are having sex outside of marriage, it's time to tell your children, come into line or find somewhere else to live, okay? And you know, if they're under the age of 16, it's important that you take stuff away, you know? Take stuff away. Believe me, they'll come into line. And you know, weak parents, this is the thing. Single mothers are bad at this because it's not their predominant role. Their predominant role is to comfort. That's why statistically, children are more than 300% more likely to be career criminals if they have a single mother than when they have a parent. And it's not because mothers are bad and all that. Not at all. It's not her role. It's not her role to bring order and correction. And you might be a woman, you might, I disagree with that. It's just not biologically the norm for females. That's why they usually say, you know, talk to your father, or what does your dad say about that? Because the thing is, this is statistics. You can feel, you know, upset about it, but it's statistics. So if you look up the statistics, right, anybody can speak from statistics. You know, saying like you have to have children to know or whatever is like saying that you have to be a rapist or a pedophile to say that it's wrong. There's no difference. None at all. It's like saying that you have to kill somebody to know that that's wrong because you haven't felt it. And there are people that believe that. So to say that I need to have children to know what it's like is merely an emotional reaction to truth. So if you, and I respect that because I know how it feels. I understand that it feels invasive as far as your feelings go. And I apologise for that, but I'd encourage to say, okay, no, this is the truth. This is why there are certain things in life that can't be mended. Now, when a child grows up in a single parent household, their development can only go so far. They can never actually complete development because there are things that only a woman can give children. There are things that only a man can give children. So, you know, my wife, this is why, you know, even if I'm married and my wife dies, I raise 3 kids, I acknowledge that my children will never fully develop. There will be a developmental issue issue. What I mean is they can develop academically and things like that, but psychologically, there's no such thing as a child that is raised in a single parent household that has all the emotional development, all the psychological development that God intended them to have, because it's not possible. They're supposed to have both their mum and their dad doing that stuff. Now, you might not be able to work that out. I know a lot of people can't, because they think, oh, that's just not fair. No, it's not fair. It's not. Life is not fair, honey. Life is not fair. But the thing is that if your husband dies or your wife dies, the single parent. That's why it's so sad for like Charlie Kirk's widow. His children will never be the people that they were meant to be, because they didn't grow up with their dad, from a certain point. It's a very sad thing. And so this is why people need to realize that if you raise exactly, it is of course it's what you make it, but the studies show, right, that children have a mother and a father for a reason. Some men do it better than others, some women do it better than others at being a single parent, right? But generally speaking, well, not just generally speaking, we know that without a mother and a father together, when children are growing up. Now, yes, a single parent can do it better than some mothers and fathers, of course. The bottom line is, when a child does not have mum and dad in their life, there's certain things that they're not going to understand. So the daughter will grow up, and the studies show that she will be very self-destructive, very sexually promiscuous. There's a lot of statistics that don't make sense. There's another statistic you can read that the heavier the woman is, the more out of control sexually. The heavier the woman is, the more out of control sexually. So as a pastor, I have to understand, when I am counseling people, I have to understand these biological things. It's important. And not everybody's the same, but studies have shown that the heavier a woman is, that women who are heavier, they on average have more sex and with more different people than their slimmer counterparts. It's just the truth. I don't know why it is, but you can Google it and you can see that multiple studies have proven it to be true. And it's far more clear than that about children. So the reason I say this, right, is because it's just one of many, many reasons why we have to be responsible adults and deal with the consequences of our actions. Okay? The consequences of your actions are severe. There's a person, for instance, who that my friend is her sister, right, smoked methamphetamine right throughout the pregnancy of her children. Now, these people never should have had children. Their child has pinhole vision, is legally blind. In my opinion, the parents should be sentenced to 20 years of hard labour. If the bottom line is that if somebody like myself was in charge of this country, we would make things very safe, and people that step out of line and endanger others would be dealt with very, very harshly. You can make a society where people don't want to step out of line because they will go through a lot of pain. I think that if people understand that if they steal, if they abuse, that they will go through physical pain, corporal punishment, and even mild torture, like I think waterboarding and stuff like that. If somebody knows the answers to questions that, when answered, authorities can prevent deaths of children and people like. Yeah, I think torture is totally justified in those situations. The thing is that a lot of people get hurt. A lot of people get hurt in our society that don't have to be hurt. And they get hurt, right, because people are in politics that are basically like social workers and counsellors, that they're emotional, they don't actually know how to bring order. And that's, a lot of people suffer because of that. A lot of people suffer because of that. And it's a really sad thing. But I need you to know this, right, is that the devil is interrupting the lives of young people at such an early age. The default future for a man is not that his biological need to lead and serve and provide and honor a woman would be filled. It's actually that that wouldn't happen, no matter how hard he tries, unless he goes to another country or ends up. Now I'm talking about secular people. If you're a Christian and you go to the right church and you understand all this stuff, which most people don't, it's only because I've studied a lot, but predominantly the Lord has given me revelations, which means it's like directly to my spirit. And so the default future of a man and a woman in this country is that they would be defiled, that by the time they meet their forever person, if they're lucky enough, that they're so broken. Now, women, right, the reason a man protects his daughter from guys that just want to have sex with her is because he knows that it's unnatural, it's unclean, it's ungodly, it's just wrong for your daughter to be giving her body to people that want to use her in the same way that they would use a toilet. And this is just what our society is. You know, the majority of your sons, almost all your sons, they're like that, and your daughters are just as bad, because there comes a point where it's very intentional. But the thing is that it's even if somebody understands what I'm saying, they never can unless they know Jesus, right? Unless they know Jesus, they can't actually understand what I'm saying. They can't, because they don't actually know their value and their dignity. What I'm saying is, right, is the reason we have such bad problems with addiction and mental health in this country is because people are doing unwholesome, unclean, unnatural things. People that are coming to me, right, do you know, when I was young, right, when I was 13, the average 13-year-old did not watch porn every day. Now the average 9-year-old starts watching pornography, and it's far more graphic than it used to be. And a lot of it involves incest and bestiality, sex with animals, right? Now, a lot of people now that I'm counseling, when I say a lot of people, I mean various people that come to me for counseling, they're involved in things that I think that the average 50-year-old in this country, you know, doesn't actually think's happening, or at least doesn't think it's as common as it is. But look, listen, here's the thing, guys, is that the result of a country that allowed pornography without restrictions, right, and prostitution and all that kind of stuff, is that young people would grow up filthy. And so you release your daughter into a world where she's no longer sacred, precious, beautiful. She's seen as an object for frustrated and angry, unloving men to release their bodily fluids into. And you need to know that. You need to know that, because that's just what it is. And the statistics show that there's not one country in the world where women will have more experiences like that than women in New Zealand. The most promiscuous women on the planet. There's 252 countries on the planet. So we have serious problems in New Zealand, really serious problems in New Zealand. And so it's important that if you have a granddaughter, if you have let all your daughters know that if they're a female, it doesn't matter if you think they're really unattractive, and that any female is a target, because it doesn't matter. You'd be surprised. I used to think if a woman was really unattractive, they weren't a target. But God showed me this stuff, and it meant everybody, you know. Even people who are really unattractive, you know, they get it too, you know. In fact, even more, because people think that they have less self-esteem, that they'll be more likely to say yes. Every single female in this country who has Snapchat has hundreds of men that want to sexually violate her. And I know it's legal, but it is violate, because it's not a loving, caring thing. It's, I want to use you for my pleasure, and it's a disgusting thing. And so when you get men and women in a cycle of doing that, it's such a far away thing, right? Such a far away thing for them to actually step into their role of, as a man, I have to protect a woman. What is there to protect after she's been torn to shreds? You protect her dignity after she's been torn to shreds sexually by countless men. All that beautiful sweetness, loveliness, sacredness is far gone. And a man, right, after he's done live like that, he's proven himself to be a shocking leader. He can't be a leader. He doesn't even know he's meant to be a leader. When the men, who are supposed to be guarding the community, become the predators, we end up with the most broken society. Only 1 in 20 people, right? 1 in 20 females, 1 in 20 men in this country actually live with dignity, by God's standard. The rest live like animals, the rest live like animals. They're like walking STDs, and it's so foul, and you have to talk about it, you have to discuss it. When I have children, I understand that when they go out into the world, they better know that there's a target on their backs. So it's crazy, the over 92%, right? I'm one of the 8% that doesn't. So 92% of males watch pornography regularly. They start at 9 years old on average, and women at 70-something%, and they start at the average at 11. Now, just think about that for a second. What kind of relationship are they going to look for when on these porn sites there's sex with animals, there's bestiality, and it's incest stuff like mother and son, brother and sister. And so this is why people are coming to me for counselling, and they're telling me that their sister or their brother or their cousin is trying to have sex with them. And so, and I'm hearing things about family pets and stuff. You've got to understand just how messed up our society is. The worst things that are going on, people aren't talking about it. Do you know, children are being sexually abused on every single street in this country. Statistically, 1 in 4 females will be sexually abused in their life, right? And sexually assaulted 1 in 3, right? I'm not talking about third cousins. I agree. I'm talking about dad's sister's daughter who comes over every week, and the kids are having sex from a young age because they're watching that kind of stuff. If you think about it, like porn, for instance, a lot of people think it's you're looking at nude pictures, but it's actually putting your tongue in people's rear end, drinking their urine. It's bad, 100 men lining up to release sexual fluids into a woman's mouth who's made to look 13, 14. You can read about it, right? I know that most of you guys statistically are probably watching this stuff every day. And so you got to understand that if you're not one of those people, if you're like myself, you're not one of those people and you think this stuff's evil, then you need to understand that when you release your son into the world, those are the women in the dating market. When you release your daughter into the world, the men in the dating market are men who watch gangbangs of 40, 50 men. And yeah, it's crazy. So, the stuff that I've read, I watched a documentary. If you look up Gail, right? Gail Dines, Dines. Oh, here we go. Here's another person who doesn't understand. Yes, I didn't do that though, did I? But thanks for making another account to watch me, because I'm in your mind so much. You're so interested in what I've got to say. People are so interested. A lot of haters, they're so desperate to hear me speak because you're so obsessed. But we'll block them because the only thing that's crazy here is writing a comment like that and expecting to not be blocked. But yeah, look, my job, right, is to reveal to you guys the things that everybody's putting under the carpet, to let you know that, what we know is innately true biologically, it's real, right? It's real. Any man, right, that truly cares about a woman, he wants to protect her from this stuff. And now you as a father have to be the first one who does that. Now 60% of females in this country are no longer raised with a dad. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that 4 in 10, right, have a man who is able to tell them that you're a target, right? You're a target for the majority of males that are hooked on this disgusting stuff, that have more respect for a pig than probably the average woman. You know, it's about time that woman stood up and actually said that, you know, these are my demands. Like, I demand that a man would actually make a lifelong commitment to me in front of his family, you know, buy me a ring and live up to my dad's expectations, or just your expectations, you know. I don't know if you haven't had a good dad, but assuming that, you know, you're a lovely family, your dad adores you, you adore your dad, it's really about time that women started to say that actually my body is not a toy for guys just because they've swiped right and bought a box of Coronas around, or a $20 thing of weed. The women who do that, their internal, you know, not only is their body at great risk of harm, but their psychological and spiritual well-being is affected, and they're pretty much ruined irreversibly. That's why the anxiety that these women have, the self-harm, all that kind of stuff, the anxiety, the trauma, it's real. It's very real. And so it's about time, right? This is how powerful a man is, right? Let me just say this before I get off. Women respond to authority. They're looking for a man to bring order and direction and say, hey, go this way. So I got a lot of women who, they follow me, I don't know a good analogy, but they follow me like a fly on dog poo. And so because they're looking for freedom, they've been torn up and had their hands tied behind their back and molested their whole lives. I'm just saying that because it's either literally true or it's true. It's that's what fornication is. You got countless guys that the only connection with you, it's not because they care about you or whatever, they just want to relive what they've watched in porn with you and then kick you back to the streets. And so women need to be like, hey, no, I'm more than that. I want to draw a distinctive line between the women who do that, the 80%, 90%, and me. And I want to present myself as a wholesome woman. So when you wear shorts that short and you're showing your tits, you're presenting yourself as a girl that stands on the corner of the street and waits for a guy to pay her $20 to do the most filthy things with it. And so the bottom line is that, you know, this is so bad, man. This is so bad. And so when a man speaks, let me tell you something. When I as a man say to a woman, you are more than that. God created you to be sacred. Don't. It's like bang, like it's like a bomb drops. Something drops in her spirit and in her mind at the same time, and it's like an epiphany times a million. And I tell you what, they change. Just like a man who says, you know, I want to F you, they respond to it like, okay, take me where you want me to go. Because women naturally respond to a man's authority. So the problem is that 99% of men, 95% probably, have a very nasty kind of authority where it's all about what he wants. It's not sacrificial. I have different women that I'm friends with very well, and I took one the other day to the dentist. She wanted to hold my hand really, really tight, right? She wanted to hold my hand real tight while she got the injections in her mouth. You know, look, guys, none of us are perfect people. We are supposed to be fighting to do what's right. I can honestly say that I live my life with a deep desire in my heart to honor people as much as I possibly can. So I'm currently looking for a Lime scooter. It's okay. But anyway, let me tell you, right, that you know, God actually made a woman, right, to be the greatest gift to mankind. You're supposed to protect her because when she gets damaged, it's really like an egg that cracks. You can put tape on it, whatever, but it's broken. And I don't think there's anything more sad. I don't think there's anything that should hurt your heart more, because that is just the guaranteed almost future for the majority of females born in this country. And so I just want you to think about that. You know, all it takes is that men, you don't even need to have to be the one that married one. I just I just spent like 4 weeks. I just spent like 4 weeks, right, counseling somebody, counseling a young woman. I counsel a lot of men, a lot of women, even children, and I tell you what, their lives change. Their lives change. Now I come on here, I speak in a different manner because I'm speaking to a whole audience. When I speak to people one-on-one, it's very different. I'm a lot more, I cater it to them. But when I'm speaking to you guys, I don't want you to think that I'm in your living room, you know, being harsh to you. So understand that, hey, okay, maybe I am speaking to you. But, yeah, I'm not trying to upset you, but it is supposed to hit. It is supposed to hit because it's serious stuff. Because the majority of you guys are heading in this direction where, you know, yeah, it's bad. And so, yeah, I just hope that just understand this one thing, right? Women, you literally have the ability, even if you're really unattractive, to have, this is what I expect. I expect a man, the best thing you can do as a woman is say, no man is going to have sex with me until he's married to me. You will never, ever stop the right man coming to you for that. By doing that, you'll never lose the right man. Never. Impossible. You'll always lose the wrong man. Now, men, understand this. No matter who she is, when you speak and you tell a woman to have dignity, to be sacred, to not let men, you know, have sex with her it's not her husband. I tell you what, a sense of, you do it in love, and a sense of shame comes on her, and just nothing but a desire to follow what you've said, because she knows it's the truth. She knows she's damaging herself, and she will start to heal. And if you feel that you can explain all the things I've talked about, you can help her get that understanding, and then she'll never touch that stuff again. And she'll be able to help a whole lot of women out of Satan's very, very complex plan that gets people to self-destruction. So stay away from churches that are false and that are soft on this kind of stuff. Love people, men. Do everything you can to protect what is sacred about a woman. Don't take it. Don't take it from her if she's got it. If you're a virgin, you should do everything within your power. Like, don't go to certain parties where you don't know everybody there. Oh, you know, I'm invited to a party, Mum, can I go? And she says no. It's probably because she knows from when she was younger that she spent 5 years traumatized because a cousin's cousin is, you know, brothers with someone's there, and, you know, their niece and nephew and whatever who's on probation, friend who just got out of prison, raped her. You know, this is the world we live in. It's nasty, it's bad, and you got to understand your value. Then you can take measures to reflect your value. I mean, protecting yourself. All right, guys, love ya. Bye-bye. Yeah, please follow, guys, if you haven't. Jesus loves you guys. Bye-bye.